Back in August, I bought my first out-of-state rental property, and in this video, I want to talk about why I did it, how I made this decision, and ultimately what I plan for this property and some of my expectations that come along with it. Now, if you watch my vlog channel, this shouldn't come as a surprise because we've actually been making videos of the buying process and some renovations that we've been doing to this property for about a month now. But every time I post on this channel about wanting to get into real estate, one of the questions that I get asked is if Turo is such a high ROI business to be in, why am I even interested in getting into real estate, and why don't I just use that same money to buy more cars? And that's actually a super valid question, so I want to address it today. We bought a 1,500 square foot, so relatively small, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-story house in Angel Fire, New Mexico, and we bought it to list on Airbnb and other short-term rental platforms. Now, for those of you who don't know where Angel Fire is or what it is, Angel Fire is a very small town in northern New Mexico, and there's a relatively small ski resort within the town. Now, a lot of people think of this when you think of New Mexico, but Angel Fire is actually more like this. Angel Fire itself is very small, both population-wise as well as square mileage-wise, and the entire town is basically a valley with a single road or two. And while the town as of now doesn't have a ton of attractions outside of like skiing and mountain biking, I see a ton of potential here. Because all within this small town, there's a country club, a lake where you can fish and kayak, a beautiful golf course, a ski resort, which isn't world-renowned, but is solid. The ski resort features a great ski school for kids and families, and there's also a downhill mountain bike park during the summer, and there's a bunch of hiking. And if the Angel Fire ski resort doesn't do it for you, and you're a bit more of a hardcore skier or snowboarder, we're only an hour away from Taos, which is an extremely good, and I also think relatively unrelated ski resort that is only an hour away. Now, we bought the house fully furnished, which was nice because it drastically cut down on our startup cost and we didn't have to worry about the logistics of getting furniture to the property. But we still invested money into just making the property that much better and making it stand out amongst the other Airbnbs in the area. This is something that I've been referring to between HP and I as adding secret sauce. We added Rokus with guest mode to all the TVs, turned the garage into a game room functional storage space, added a bike cleaning station, which is an idea I stole from Seth Bike Hacks, added some nice lighting, a picnic table, a desk for people who work while they're there, and we also updated all the linens. None of which are things that we had to do, but they were things that we wanted to do to just make the property that much better. Now, as of recording this video, this property is not live on Airbnb, but I'm really hoping that by the time this video goes live, that it is live on Airbnb. So if it is, I will include a link to it down in the description below as well as in the pinned comment section. And if it is not live yet, then I will include a reason as to why there was a bit of delay. Now, if you're a longtime viewer of this channel, then you probably remember around this time last year, whenever I was talking about how my husband and I wanted to begin investing in real estate more frequently, specifically with Section 8 properties, which this house obviously is not. And the reason why I decided not to invest in Section 8 is after doing my own due diligence, I just wasn't convinced that the cash flow made sense. And during this due diligence period of time, I spoke to a number of real estate investors who all recommended that I should pay attention to appreciation, not just cash flow, and they highly encouraged me to go a different direction, and so that's ultimately what I ended up doing. I'm not saying that I'll never do Section 8, in fact, I'm still interested in doing it, I just think right now isn't the right time. Now, the reason why we went with Angel Fire specifically is that I've actually grown up going to New Mexico for skiing and snowboarding. New Mexico is a very popular ski state for Texans because of the relatively short drive, and I am one of those Texans who has made a drive up there once or twice a year, every year since I was a kid to go snowboarding. So I know New Mexico as a state very, very well, and I've been keeping track of the New Mexico housing market for an extremely long time because buying a property here is something that I've always wanted to do. And being as though I have an interest in real estate and I've been snowboarding for most of my life, I also know that most ski towns throughout the country are very, very expensive. And while Angel Fire certainly isn't cheap, I will say it is by far one of the cheapest ski towns in the entire country, and I think it's one of the least developed ones as well. Angel Fire will never be a Park City or a Vail purely because of the fact that the skiing isn't on par with those resorts, but I do think that the vibe of Angel Fire and everything that Angel Fire has to offer, I think that it has a ton of room to grow because the skiing is really nice, but the town as a whole is just incredible as well. And as of now, the town basically has one gas station, a grocery store, a couple of small restaurants, And that's basically it. And so I am truly investing into the fact that I believe that Angel Fire is a hidden gem, and I think it's one that has a ton of upwards potential. So the reasons why we chose Angel Fire specifically is because we wanted to buy a ski house, and we wanted something that fit our budget and had a relatively close proximity to home. And we also wanted to get a house. We didn't want to get a condo or a townhome. We wanted to buy a house with a good amount of land. And this house is not only 1,500 square feet, but it also sits on over an acre. Now, I will admit, short term, I am a bit concerned about cash flow and performance with this property, with Airbnb specifically. And while these nerves are in part here because of the fact that starting any new business venture is going to be nerve-wracking, I also feel a bit nervous about the property because Angel Fire is a very Airbnb heavy area. Angel Fire only has one hotel in the area, and basically the rest of the accommodations are Airbnbs and short-term rentals. And when making the decision to buy this property, I used services like Airbnb as well as methods taught on Airbnb YouTube channels like Rawbuilt to see how demand can look for this property. And while there are a lot of properties in Angel Fire available to rent on Airbnb, based on my research, it looks as though some do very, very well and some do just so-so. And that's ultimately why we are taking extra steps to help make this property stand out amongst other Airbnbs in the area. We also aren't going to be using a property manager, which is a decision that we came to not only save on expenses, as most property managers charge about 20%, but it's also because HP and I have no doubt that we can handle it, and because we don't want to hire a property manager that has 20 to 100 other Airbnbs in the area because we think that's a bit counterproductive. I want to learn the Airbnb business inside and out. I also want to ensure that we're maximizing this Airbnb for its fullest potential, and I think that the best way to do that is to self-manage. But short term with this property specifically, our goal is to just try to cash flow. Our interest rate isn't that great, and so our monthly payment is very high. And so until we're able to refinance and get that monthly payment lower, I'm just wanting to cash flow the property, and any money that we can make on top of that is just gravy. Eventually, of course, once we do refinance, we would of course like to make a profit. And of course, the other goal here is that appreciation play, which I feel very confidently about. And I do think that in 10 to 15 years, this property will be worth anywhere between $1 and $2 million. Now, as far as why I'm investing into Airbnb instead of just using that money to buy a lot more cars for my Turo fleet, the answer is simple. It's diversification. People new to this channel watching this video may think that this is in part due to the fact that Turo is changing their all-star host status criteria. They're changing a bunch of their policies. But anybody who's been watching this channel for a long time knows that I've been talking about real estate for a very long time. I have another local rental property. I, of course, have my primary residence, and now this is my third property. The truth is, Turo and car sharing is going great, and I do think that Turo and car sharing is a great business to be a part of from a cash flow perspective. And as things stand today, I don't have any plans to stop car sharing. In fact, I have plans to continue to grow my fleet. We just hired a full-time employee to help manage our fleet. We're planning to add 3 to 4 cars between now and the end of the year. And next year, we have some big plans to grow our fleet even more, which I will talk about in another video. But the truth is, Turo and car sharing isn't going to get me to an 8-figure net worth, but real estate and some of these other projects that I have in the works, they could eventually. So for the foreseeable future, our goal is to buy 1 property per year. And as of right now, we're using money from this YouTube channel, from our car sharing fleet, and from our other businesses to help fund those properties. But our goal is to eventually have the real estate side of our business be self-sustaining, just like our car sharing fleet is, to where we can use the real estate earnings to buy more real estate, just like we use Turo and car sharing earnings to buy more cars. But of course, we're not at that point, which is to rent the properties. So as of right now, we're using a lot of the money that we make through our other businesses to funnel that into real estate purchases, like the one that I've talked about throughout this video. But that is our most recent business move and why we ultimately made this purchase. I will no doubt keep you guys posted on how this property does on Airbnb, some of the things that we do, and of course, some of the things that we learn. While I do have experience managing Airbnbs due to some projects that I was working on in the past, this is very much all a learning experience for me, and so I can't wait to share what I'm learning. But like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.